my name's Jordan and I own WILDRACE, a luxury sustainable candle company based in the UK, and I have been going for 3.5 years roughly now. Now, you might think it's really easy to set up a candle company in the UK, or you might think it's really, really hard, and I'm here to tell you it's somewhere in the middle. I'm going to talk you through what you actually need to start a candle business in the UK. So in terms of money, if you've already got a job and you're already working a job, this is what I did. I kept my job and I just slowly funded the candle business until the business was big enough to leave my original job. You don't need a huge amount of cash if you're going to build it this way, but if you were going to build it just on the spot, I'm going to talk you through the costings of the things that you actually need before you go and buy loads of rubbish that these places will tell you you need and you don't. So I would actually recommend, as strongly as possible, I can say this, to keep a job or keep some kind of income while you build this up if you are somebody who needs to be making an income and has a certain amount of money you need to make. Because at the start, when you're sussing things out, you're working out what kind of candles you want to make, where you want to sell them, you're going to want some sort of income to back this up. Because at the start, my entire first year, I didn't make a profit with my candle business. I reinvested all the money back in, which was what was best for it, and it has worked so amazingly. But I didn't make any money for myself in that first year. I think it's unrealistic sometimes for people to say, quit your job and start selling candles, because I don't think that will work. I think you can build it up slowly alongside it, or if you do have a cash injection, then you potentially could do that. But for most people, especially like myself, I didn't have a cash injection to start the business from. So let's talk what you actually need. At the start, you do not need a fancy wax boiler. I do have one now and it's great and it saves me so much time, and that was about £280. But all you need at the start is one of the kettles to boil the wax in. I say boil, you're not actually going to get it to boiling point, but you need a kettle which you can get for about £15 off of Amazon. You can also use companies like London Luxury Candle Supplies. I know they sell things. I think Candle Shack even sells some candle making supplies. So you're going to need a kettle. Boil your wax in and some sort of stirring thing. You can buy the spoons, or you can just do what I did and nick something from the kitchen that you don't need anymore and use that to stir. And I'm still using it 3.5 years on. It's a skewer. It works just fine. You're also going to need some type of vessel, and I recommend buying these from Candle Shack. You can use C. Wine Jones. You can use, I think, London Luxury Candle Supplies. Yeah, they do jars. I wouldn't buy them from Amazon. They're not heat tested. They're not going to work with your insurance, which is another thing you need. You need insurance to be selling candles. If you're going to try and do markets, you'll need a separate type where you have market traders insurance. Yes, you're going to need to choose a jar, a vessel, a tin, whatever you're going to use. And then you're going to need to test wicks with that. So you'll need some wicks. And you're also going to need a wax, and there is a lot to choose from. The wicks, I would recommend at the start following the little guides they'll have underneath saying about the diameter of your vessel. So normally you can take the diameter across the vessel of whatever you're using, and it will tell you what wick to try with that. And majority of the time it works. People will tell you it's really, 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 really hard to test wicks. I've never had a problem with testing wicks. I've used a lot of different vessels over the years and I've never had a problem with it. I don't know what the problem is that people are having, but people can't seem to match them up. But I've never had a problem with this. And then you're going to want to test wax. And that's going to take probably a bit longer, because certain waxes, you'll think it's working and then something will happen and it just won't work with a certain oil. And I've managed to find one now that works with all of the oils that I use. But now I'm at the point where I love this wax so much. If the oil didn't work with it, I would ditch the oil. I wouldn't change the wax, because this wax works really well for me. So you've got your kettle, you've got your vessels, you've got your wicks, you've got your wax. That's what you're starting with. Now you need your oil. Now I'm going to do a separate video on oil suppliers within the UK and which ones I think are best. I think I've tested all of them now. And which ones I think are best. I'm going to do a separate video on this, but you're going to need oil. Realistically, this is all you're going to need, apart from CLP labels to place on the bottom, which are a legal requirement. I don't think I have any here. to show you because these ones I've made for myself. But you're going to need CLP labels for the bottom, which you can get from, my favorite place to buy these from is a place called Sticky Print Pixels, and they are great, and they are linked to all the kind of brands. So wherever you've bought your oil from, it links up, you'll see if you go on the website. Once you've found your oil and you know what you're working with, it's a good time to start working on your labels if you are using labels. Sometimes your jar is going to be so pretty you're not even going to want to use labels, but I use labels, and I would recommend at the start just making these on camera, making them yourselves, make them cheaply, because you're probably going to want to change them. Everybody wants to change their stuff after like at least a year of selling. You're going to realize that something else sells better, or that you want to take it down a slightly different route once you've got to know the business and kind of your target audience. And that's all you really need to start a candle business. If you're going to start using a website, you're going to end up paying for fees. I think I pay about £30 a month on just having a website. So that is another fee you might need to consider if you're going to go straight away into doing that. I know that my labels come to about 25 pence per label. You can get them a lot cheaper than that, which I do now. But if you're looking at just that volume, it's going to be about 25 pence per label. The CLP labels on the bottom come in at about 7 or 8 pence. Wicks come in at about 7 or 8 pence. No, they don't. They come in a lot lower. They come in at about 4 pence now. But if you're buying them in the smaller quantities, they'll be a little bit more. Wax, I think, works out at about £1 to £1.20 per 40 hours of burn time. For me, with the wax that I use soy wax, I use all renewable, 100%, all that kind of clean stuff, because that is my brand. If you're not using that, you can probably get it a bit cheaper. If that's not something that your brand is about, which is absolutely fine, you do whatever. So just a little summary of what you're going to need. You're going to need a wax kettle. You're going to need something to stir the wax with. You're going to need wax. You're going to need a vessel. You're going to need wicks. You're going to need CLP labels when selling them. You don't really need this in the testing stage. You're going to need labels for the front of your candles, for like just a nice pretty label if you are using labels, or the fancier jar that again is going to make people want to buy it. You're going to need insurance, and you're going to need a specific type of insurance if you're also going to be trading at markets, because you'll need public liability. I think this does always come into kind of one. For me it does. I get one insurance that covers the whole thing. It covers the actual selling of the candles online and the markets. I can't quite remember the difference, but there is a difference, so just make sure you've got both covered if you are going to markets. And you're going to need either a website subscription if you're going to sell on your own website, or you're going to need to sign up for Etsy, Amazon, whatever else you're doing. Or if you're just selling in person, you're going to need to pay for the fees to attend the markets. I would also invest, if you are going to go to markets, you're going to need to invest in a table and some sort of tablecloth and some display items. So you could probably get this from charity shops quite easily, or just pick up things you've got around the house to display them on. That's what I did at the start, and then you just slowly expand. And I think I just missed it off. You're going to need oil, and I'm going to do a separate video on my favourite UK suppliers for both quality and customer service, because that can be a huge thing, and also just reliability, because that has also been massive for me over the 3 years, and I will explain why in that video. Yeah, everything else kind of depends on what direction you're taking your brand in. If you're going down the sustainable route, if you're going down like a really funky design kind of route, if you're going down a very like custom, like very niche sense, like all that is going to depend, but that is the basis of what you need to start a candle business. And of course, lots of time, lots of energy, probably lots of tears, lots of stress, incredible self-motivation, because it is hard. And like I said, it's not as hard as people think it is, I think, if you're the type of person that works with it. If you love it, keep going. If you don't like it, it is not worth doing, because it is not something that you're going to earn money from super quick if you're doing it, I say correctly, but that's probably not a very good thing to say. But if you do it the way that I did it, it took longer to build up, but it has been so worth it in the long run, because I make much better profits and much better financial return from it because of the decisions that I have made along the way. I think what it is it's not hard to make candles. At least for me, I haven't found it hard to make candles, but I found it hard to keep going when things have been tough. Say it's easier to make the candles once you've got the candles done. It's the mental side of running a candle business and getting things right. And that is, if I'm going to be honest, that is going to be a struggle. I'll let you know when it stops being a struggle, because I'm 3.5 years in and there is still things that I really struggle with. But I am running a successful candle business, and that is the most important thing. And that is why I'm here to share my tips, my advice, what I've done, my scenarios, and just talk you through my side of things, because I think it can be really helpful. And I wish somebody would have been there to do this when I started out and just talk me through things so that I don't make the mistakes that I've had to make. So I'm here for you for that. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm going to be doing a video on the oil suppliers. I also post weekly Candle Maker vlogs, which includes everything that I've been up to in the week. I post these on a Sunday, and I'm trying to post these kinds of business advice talks on a Wednesday. Please like and subscribe. Comment if you have any ideas of other videos that you would like, and I will see you in the next one.